Welcome to the Port's Garrison. Please like, subscribe, and share. Thank you.
Greetings, and once again, welcome to the Port's Garrison. I am PD Port, your host. Now, today we'll be looking at part two, the final part of Senator Crawford's response to the government's budget, the budget for 2023-2024. Now, here is the final part of his presentation.
To do that. We are the first people as well that said that there should be a single person mortgage at NHT. Yes. We first proposed that, and now it's a big proposal 3 years later, like nothing never come out of it. I was reading the paper one time and I said, the Prime Minister Holness proposed rent to buy. I said, what? I said, am I Prime Minister Holness? Well, we're not even going to go through that. We come here have enough things. Come now. Yeah, but take it out of the 2020, so you change your mind. You change your mind. But let me go to areas of agreement. First of all, I congratulate Prime Minister Holness on being brave enough to make an appreciable increase in minimum wage. The leader of the opposition called for 12 last year, and he came to 30. But I still congratulate him because I know the resistance that these changes in minimum wage would happen. So while there might have been agreement, you still the man uneasy is the head that wear the crown. I'm going to really congratulate him a lot. It takes people if it start to hate him for him do something when we agree with. So therefore, but no, I am saying I stand on the ground. That bravery, and I'm speaking as a businessman, a businessman who's concerned about every single cost. We're concerned about increasing the cost of energy. We're concerned about increasing the cost of inputs. We're concerned about increasing the cost of security, and indeed, we're concerned about increasing the cost of labor. So therefore, once there is an increase in cost, there is consternation in the person that is seeking to maximize profit. However, as a citizen as well, I am also concerned about a person's living standard who's willing to put effort in our economic activity. There should be a minimum living standard for an individual willing to exert effort. And business people who are of good intent are constrained by the market when there's a low minimum wage. Because you can't willingly go and then pay a high minimum wage, especially when wage is a high percent of your total cost, because you will then not be able to compete with price. Right. So therefore, it almost is dependent on the government. Sometimes I hear some people say, you can choose to pay. You can choose. How if you choose to pay when you're competing with other people selling? You think nobody going to the supermarket say, this is a high minimum wage egg? Nobody's doing that. So sometimes I just, but sometimes people come with just uninformed thing. It is dependent on the government, and this government did it, and I am grateful, and I am proud, and I'm saying, and you did it before, yeah, you did it before, but I'm saying that I'm in agreement with that. I'm in agreement. No problem. We're gonna come to that. You always approve me, right? No. However, I believe that we need to get to a point that we have a more logical and a more objective way to set the minimum wage, and one that isn't dependent on the polls showing that you are not favorable to the people. Right? So therefore, I did some research, and the research showed that there are many countries, like Germany, for example, that use a percent of the mean wage. So therefore, Germany will say 50% of the mean wage is the minimum wage, the average wage is the minimum wage. And so, I assumed the normal distribution where the mean is the mode is the median. All right? Cool. Yeah. No, I was going to say, no, I take a deep breath, you will never know how to make Matthew understand. You understand? That's what I did. But what I'm trying to say is that we should have a system where it is an objective measure that every 3 years it simply go to that objective measure. Because it shouldn't be up to people to say, okay, what them food get and whims and fancy. It should be, I think, a mean wage. Now, that percent of the mean or the average, in this case, is going to be based on if your priority is welfare maximization or if your priority is employment maximization. So therefore, maybe captured somewhere in the Constitution even, there should be the range that the government can't go too far throughout the range. But all I'm saying is that there should be a set understanding so that every 2 years it just do itself and we move on. Right? All right, fine. Fine. I don't want to go too far, but you accept the point that I'm making, that there should be this kind of objective calculation. Right? Huh? Yeah, man, Germany do it. Currently. Now, yes. Right. It captures inflation too because the mean wage, I go no. Exactly. Right. So two people can benefit from. Yeah. Talk about it. I am now assigning Covenant. All right. Now, there also, I believe, should have been conversation about a special minimum wage. I'm coming now to the people down in the West and the hotels, etc. The hospitality worker, the call center worker, but let me just focus now on the hospitality worker, which I understand more. We have a special minimum wage for security guard. But the hospitality worker cannot be guaranteed to work a 40-hour work week. He cannot be guaranteed, Senator Sinclair, because in the if I'm a waitress and you're having a ball and you're enjoying yourself, can I say, yo, my time up, I'm gonna leave? No. Him cannot do that. He must serve till you're ready to leave. So it is right. So there are gonna be many a time, Senator Scott Matley, that his work week is really 48 and 52, and them not have no true method of overtime for him. So because of that reality, paired with the reality that the industry is booming, as said by Sir Hill, then the participants within the industry should then get special consideration. And it is employing so much people that a government should be concerned and considerate. So therefore, while I applaud, may I say, over this side, there is a different way, and that different way may be accepted to be a better way, because we think that you should have a special one for the hotels, and the call center should be considered, but you also should have an objective way, so that the polls don't decide what happens each time. Now, Senator Hill gone, I'm not here for the class, but they were trying to give the impression that this is a big increase, the biggest increase. Well, of the 5 largest increase in minimum wage, the PMP have 4.
Ooh, really? Tell us more.
Let's look. 1994, that was 67%. 98% inflation. No, I one thing I don't like.
You're mixing up the year.
No, not just the year. You're mixing up the concepts. I said minimum wage increase. Now the man start talking about all different kind of things. In 1994, the PMP gave a minimum wage increase considering all factors of 67%. In 1996, 60%. In 1999, 50%. And in 2002, 50%. So while the JLP wants to celebrate and forget that history of the 5 increases, which 30, I think this one is what, 44% it is? 44%. Right. We have mashed down that lie because they have claimed that they are the party for labor. Now they have proven the party for labor rights, but the party for workers have consistently been the People's National Party. Indeed, the concept of minimum wage was really, I mean, the setting of the minimum, the first setting of the minimum wage was done, I think it's 74, Michael Manley and the People's National Party. Now, Mr. President, we need to be careful how we allow for people to be used as props, especially within the parliament. We need to resist the belief that the Prime Minister seems to have, that resources of the nation can be used as he so pleases as gifts to individuals without policies. I give, for example, peanut dread. Radam, I know somebody went to the Prime Minister in his effort to be cool. I know you don't know peanut dread. He's not that cool. And maybe he didn't know that peanut dread said that he had an injury through an accident that he could not afford to get fixed at the hospital. I said to myself, how Peanut Dread can't afford healthcare when healthcare is free? So maybe Peanut Dread knows that it is a lie being sold, that healthcare is free, because you almost have to pay for every single thing when you actually get there. So the policy that, oh, we have free healthcare, when there is no healthcare, that should have been fixed when Peanut Dread came here, because that are the things. There are others like him who might not make the Prime Minister popular, but who are in same circumstance. So the People's National Party wants to tell Peanut Dread and others like him that we have proposed from our last manifesto that there should be a national health insurance. And when I spoke to the current leader, the man said, go and go shoot it, man, because we still believe in the national health insurance. We got from a large insurance company a costing, a calculation of what that will cost. And they stated some of the benefits of this national health insurance. And one of what it costs, I mean, you like this one here, Senator Grant. Office.
Senator who?
Hmm?
Senator who?
Grant, maybe. Don't disturb me when you see me in our flow. Just accept anything but office visits. At least it's only the names losing him, but follow the concepts. Office visits. You can go on 4 office visits for just a co-pay of $800. Right? You have 10 visits per disability. You have things like 10 visits per disability, gynecologist visits. You have 80% of your medicine. All of that was for approximately $18 billion in their calculation. You even have dental in it. What is taking this government so long to have a proposal for discussion?
Yes.
For us to say that we can do this for our people? The best thing for out of the $1 trillion, because I don't want you to say we are now moving towards fiscal indiscipline. I talk about within the $395 billion that you had, we would have taken $18 billion out of it. Indeed, the People's National Party, as proved here, had it in our manifesto. The young lady that was carried as well and being paraded, I think the Bible says that when you give with your left, your right hand shouldn't know, or when you give with your right, your left hand shouldn't know. But the Prime Minister now have this young lady making advertisements when she was a victim of the Prime Minister's decision. The Prime Minister decided to act as he acted.
On a point of order, Mr. President. That is misleading the Senate. She was a victim of fraud by a gang selling land illegally attached to the Klansman gang. She was not a victim of the Prime Minister. That must be withdrawn. It is not appropriate.
With respect, the Prime Minister came to this Parliament, Senator, and said he had given instructions
to tear down an illegally built structure on stolen land by a gang that was attached to your side.
He was the one
He was not an abuser, and you cannot do that. The statement must be withdrawn, Mr. President.
Mr. President,
the statement must be withdrawn.
He said no.
The statement must be withdrawn. The statement must be withdrawn. The statement must be withdrawn. You can't tell me anything. The statement is inaccurate and it is a lie. And it must be pulled back, Mr. President.
What's your ruling, sir?
the minister, I'm sorry. The minister Samuda pointed out that the Prime Minister did not give any instructions as suggested by...
To demolish her house?
To demolish her house.
To demolish her house?
Let me finish now. Let me finish now. I don't think that... I think that Senator Crawford's proposition is such that any right-thinking person listening to it would not in any way be misled. So he can continue.
You know what, Mr. President? You know what, Senator Lambert?
You want another presiding officer?
Nobody gonna stop my stride. Nobody gonna slow me down. Oh no. I got to keep. No, all I'm saying is that the house that was demolished was based on decisions made. All the realities that should have been considered remain the same. So nothing has changed in the decisions that were in her circumstance. At that time, she was a victim of fraud. At that time, what all the other things that are still the same wasn't considered in a alternative thing than licking down her house. So therefore, I don't understand. That is why they call him the demolition man. Now, let's go to some of the things that we don't necessarily agree with. And I'm coming to completion. Heart Trust. The separation of Heart from the Ministry of Education is indeed baffling. And now Heart is in the Prime Minister's office, and there has been constant failings, including what some of the unrest that we're seeing in the media today. But I indeed am a true supporter of Heart. The photo you're seeing here is 28th of November 2009. As president of the PMPYO, we awarded Mr. Siaga an award for his input and his concept of, that's me as a younger Rasta, of Heart. But more so, if you look at some of these photos, that is me going to Heart. As a member of parliament, I attended Heart. And I know, yeah, you visited that site. And I have a certification in steel bending. I can make stirrup, I can make mutton, I can make all these things. Yeah. No, I was taking the young men of East Rural, so therefore I went to encourage them to go. We have to work. No, I'm telling you, I can go to Canada anytime. So I am encouraging the young people to take up Heart because they were excellent teachers. Excellent teachers. And they came to the community and were willing to do projects in the community while they were training. So I must say. However, grand announcements re Heart tuition and admin fees being removed is fool's gold. Fool's gold. Everybody's excited about it, but so is everybody excited about fool's gold. Hanover is an example. The Prime Minister announced that up to level 4, tuition fees and admin fees will be removed. That's great. Let's see now. We need to go no further than pronouncements made in today's Observer. What does the pronouncement say in today's Observer? Managing Director of Heart Trust NSTA, Dr. Tanisha Ingleton, in the article titled Heart Ready to Grow, Ingleton told the Jamaica Observer that based on the announcements, the entity will be expecting a loss of $58.7 million. So $58.7 million reduction in institutional income. She went further to state that the target pre-announcement was 117,000 enrollments. Quick calculation shows that $58 million in losses is $502 per person. $502 per person. The Prime Minister came with a $1 trillion budget. Made a big song and dance when the vast majority of people were paying nothing in the first place. There were only admin fees for level 2 and 3. And if you pay one time, you don't pay again. And then at level 4, only some courses had a fee of 20,000, maximum 60,000. The ones that have the largest fee, level 5, is not up to level 4. But it is celebrated because we all want something to happen for these young people. What value is this grand announcement? 58 million in $1 trillion budget? Yes. Because what it's doing now is set us up to castigate the youths that them worthless when nothing has changed for them. Nothing has changed. Now there is a waiting list currently. Let us look at one of them that train for the major industry that we have. That is hotel and tourism, Runaway Bay. They have a waiting list of approximately 2,000 people currently. Before the excitement and the this and the that, they have a waiting list. No, with all the new hotels that we build, there should be a second heart like Runaway Bay to expand that training. There's second. Let me give you my plan for heart as a art man. As a art graduate. I don't think the Prime Minister can say he's a art graduate. You have approximately 170 high schools in Jamaica. Secondary schools, approximately 170. I said that we should do 50 per year. We give them $100 million to build out their TVET program. Because you know that the heart of $15 billion each year. It gets 15 billion coming to it each year. So you just said that. So we are in agreement. So therefore, instead of 58 million, let us really change this country by putting within the secondary schools 5 billion a year. In 4 years, every secondary school will gone. And they will then build out their TVET infrastructure. Them call it their TVET laboratory. Because technical subjects need some form of these skills. Let us build out their TVET laboratories. Now, these schools will then open at 5 p.m. to accept adults for evening school. Again, there's a good model that exists with the St. Andrew Technical High School that have their full adult evening school after 5, like 5 to 9. Now, what that will also do is to increase accessibility, because if the Prime Minister thinks that $3,000 was a deterrent for 1 year, you imagine that a person have to find a way to get there. And congratulations to Heart give you lunch. So therefore, we're saying, let us take the next 4 years and build out the TVET infrastructure within the secondary schools. Because you know what, Senator Mayor? The infrastructure of schools is one of the most inefficient infrastructure investments in this country. The infrastructure of school is used basically from 8 to 4, 8 months, Monday to Friday. And all of that investment then lay until either a political meeting a keep or somebody want to use it. It's an underutilized infrastructure. So if we should now extend the utility of the infrastructure by putting in the TVET laboratories, imagine how accessible 200 new entities that is what announcement is, not $502. Additionally, we should take the 11 billions being bamboozled from the NHT over the next 4 years to build dormitories in these schools that will allow our students from wherever to attend one of the schools with the TVET specialization that they're interested in. Because you can't put every TVET in every school. So you have to really know, make this one, these 10 is that, and these 10 is that, and these 10 is that. So a person of this interest now, he then now goes and become a resident. I asked a contractor to tell me how much $200 million can do. He says, basically, a dormitory, $1 million per student, is reasonable. A reasonable expectation. So if you put 200 million in our school, you can put a dormitory for 200 children. Now you imagine how we can change this country when we can separate some of our at-risk youths from the influence of these communities and put them. We had that plan in the 70s when they used to go up to some of these areas and stay. That is how we change nations. Transformative. That's how we change nations. So therefore, I am not in celebratory mode because we are removing $58 million out of a $1 trillion budget, averaging $502 per person. That is in itself ridiculous. And I think I will have support from the Prime Minister. Because the Prime Minister said, and I'm not being unkind to the Prime Minister, I'm just using his words. Oh, go on, I'll see my something chip out there too. Yeah, sabotage. The Prime Minister said, and I quote, for heart, my heart plan, yes. Oh, before I go to the Prime Minister, I'm going to go to Minister Clark after that. I'm suggesting you go to Minister Clark and ask him for $30 billion to facilitate monthly stipends of $25,000 to every youth in heart that maintains attendance records and a grade point average. Not new money, not fiscal indiscipline, but from the $395 billion. If you think that's too much, allow me to quote from the Heart Trust NSTA 2022-2026 strategic plan. The strategic plan, it says, a ranking of 135th, was attained for organized crime and 148th for homicide rates per 100,000 people, population. Violence has resulted in a chaotic existence for many families and businesses and has stifled economic and social development. Data from the Inter-American Bank 2014 indicates that crime costs Jamaica approximately 3.99% of GDP. A coordinated multidimensional approach is needed to tackle the scourge of crime and violence in Jamaica. And HEART's role in developing the labor force through globally competitive training and employment of the crime strategy. So if we can induce participation, and a person who have to go hustle, how am I going to go hard? A person who have a look at youth and have to send something, how am I going to go hard? So therefore, I believe that if we could give them a $25,000 per month, it will take that thing. But the Prime Minister should agree. Mr. President, there's absolutely no reason, no excuse for the government with the circumstances we currently face to still be taking $11 billion per year from NHT. Senator Bunting, I want your local attention for this one. I see they say in X time, Minister Davis said no new taxes, but he wasn't taking $11 billion from NHT. What we have now is a continuation of taking $11 billion from the NHT to buttress the budget. So when we jump and say no new taxes, we should remind the people that the benefits that they could get from NHT is not being possible to the equal extent, because over the period of the Jamaica Labour Party, they must have gone 80 billion by now. You say we started. Yeah, man, but he once again he opens the door. When we started it, the Prime Minister, when we started it, he threatened to go to court, claiming it was unconstitutional. But then in 2017, the Prime Minister said, and I quote, "It should be clear to the entire Jamaica that is not the intention of government to use up the NHT money to do things other than build housing." This is 2017, I quote. I quote, to do anything other than houses. He then says, "I don't mind if you win a political battle, that well, he broke his promise, or well, he can't be just, or whatever. You want to win in a political battle, that's fine, go ahead, win it." This is the person that said his philosophy is that NHT money should not be spent other than for houses. And now we continue even without the need to take and take and take and take under the claim that we can say no new taxes. Then if the NHT money doesn't remain in the trust, then the NHT money, that portion is now a tax. That is a tax. It was a trust first. That is why the trust used to set up on the benefit, and now it just go to the consolidated fund. We have to be careful what we do. Yeah, he did say that.
He says it's a financial institution.
Now, if you look throughout the promises that they assume that they have proposed, the thread is the same. After exorbitant increase in traffic fines, targeted affecting mainly the transport operators, they're going to propose a benefit of approximately $4,000 a year. And they assume that that did it. But no, that didn't did it. And that didn't do it. In the charge of a tint is $500,000. Additionally, they would like the...
That's not so. I don't think it's $500,000 for. I saw that, but I checked it and I don't think it's right.
All right, I'll accept I doesn't have all the numbers.
No, I'm not sure. I'm not sure. The fee.
I know you're not sure, sir.
That tin thing that come out in the social media and say it was 500 and then
so you have corrected,
no,
and I will accept.
I'm just saying that you need to check.
No, that you challenge it, I will check.
No, not challenge it. I just.
But I'm going to confirm to you that the point remains the same. That the exorbitant increases in fees will not did it for the taximen when it is wiped away. He didn't did it. They would like the youths that they seek favor and connection with the yang culture by claiming they're giving away helmets without reminding them that it's illegal still to buy a bike without helmets. Now that I'm sure of because I pointed that out. That how can it be illegal to buy a bike without at the same time buy a helmet? So if the Prime Minister give youth A helmet and he goes to buy a second bike, youth A haven't benefited from the Prime Minister's helmet. No. He now have to go buy a new bike. So I expect you come to change this now with this new proposal that you're going to be giving helmets away. We will pay dearly, I put it to you, for the way we negotiated with our teachers. Mr. President, in 2020-2021, resignation 723 teachers. In 2021-2022, resignation 1,310 teachers, almost double. The impact isn't reflected in the numbers because one teacher is responsible in the secondary entities for up to 160 children. A teacher teaching 4 classes, which is the norm, 2 10th grade, 2 11th grade, is going to have in each class 40 students. So every time you have a teacher missing, that is going to be 160 students. What do we have now? We have today's date, about 2 months from CXC, that schools are still in the Sunday paper, advertising 6 spaces and 7 spaces. And what we have done is to make Jamaica uncompetitive for the services of our teachers, and also that we have increased the intent in the way that the negotiations were handled for our teachers to migrate. This have been captured. Mr. President, this is a poll budget that was aimed to take advantage of the lack of information, a poll budget in the public. But if you think that did it, you made a sad mistake. I asked the taximen, and they respond 4 grand after taking 400 grand. No, it didn't did it. I asked the youth who have given up on the prosperity plan, do you think it did it? They say, no, it didn't did it. I asked the grand announcements, did it? If they said making what's already free, it didn't do it for me. I asked the teachers, did it? They told me to ask their travel agents because it didn't did it. I asked the children getting 1 lunch per week, did it? They say no, it didn't did it. I asked the entertainment practitioners who can't get a permit due to daily states of emergency, did it? No, it didn't did it. I asked the single mothers. And Mr. President, I asked the posters. And the unfortunate answers will be, no, Mr. H, no, Mr. C. This budget did not did it for me. Respect and thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Senator. Thank you, Senator Crawford. This Honourable Senate will now rise for approximately 3/4 of an hour to allow members to refresh themselves.
Now, thank you for watching to the end. What are your thoughts on his presentation? Did he make sense? Did he prove that the budget did it according to him for many persons? Share your thoughts and your views in the comment section below, and we can have a discussion there as to your own views on what he presented. Now, until next time, I want to wish you all the best. Take care of yourselves. Keep safe. In one love, enough manners and respects as always.
Thanks for watching.